Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the C.R. Lawrence S444. This is a heavy-duty spring hinge, is what this is. This is a 4x4 spring hinge. This is shown in the US4, so the S44 is the hinge. This is shown in the US4 finish, or the 4. This is 4x4, 4-inch tall, 4-inch wide. Height is the first dimension given on hinges like this. So you call it 4 tall, 4 wide. 1/4-inch radius. Very common hinge that you're going to see installed on residential applications. 1 3/4 doors, this would be very well suited for. This is considered a template pattern on the screw holes. And speaking of those screws, screws are included in a complementary finish. Okay. This hinge is going to be available in several different finishes. Those finishes include, well, all the common finishes, but oil rubbed bronze, antique oiled bronze, I call it, dull nickel, antique nickel, bright chrome, satin chrome, polished brass, dull brass, and black. Now, it's a common spring hinge. And with that, you're going to get, beyond the screws, you're going to get a Allen wrench. This model is actually capable of handling or setting the tension 2 different ways, with both the Allen wrench inserted into the top tension collar. The bottom does not feature that at all, nor does the bottom feature this grooved area for a tension collar. That's how you know that that's the top of the door, and you'd be hopefully installing it only installed with this towards the top, although you can install it upside down, but what I'm about to say is dependent on that. Now, even though the stock factory drawing of this, or the factory image, shows the tension collar pointed down, it's really best, it's typical if it's pointed towards the top. Here's the bottom line. There's a link below this video to the installation instructions, and we're going to get to that in a moment because it will detail how many hinges that you need, but we're going to jump right to the setting of tension. That's accomplished on this model by either inserting the Allen wrench into the top, provided this is installed on the top, and rotating it clockwise. You can also insert the tension bar that is included with this into the tension collar and rotate it clockwise. It's into one of those new revealed holes that you'll insert the tension pin. Now, these instructions have 2 pins taped on the installation instructions, and that's because this client's order has 2 hinges on it. 1 tension pin per hinge is all that's needed. So you'll rotate that clockwise and insert a new tension pin. If you're installing it upside down, just rotate it counterclockwise. Completely reversible, can be used on either left-hand or right-hand doors. Certainly no problem with that. The link to the installation instructions gives some outline information necessary for spring hinges and how they're used, how they're installed, etc. So just to breeze through these, use 3.5-inch hinges if you have 1 3/8 doors. Use 4-inch hinges or 4.5 for 1 3/4 doors. Doors no bigger than 3 foot by 7 foot. Okay. Doors over 5 foot high would require 3 hinges, and they're saying at least 2 of those hinges must be spring hinges. You can mix and match these with standard non-spring loaded hinges because the vertical axis of pivoting is compatible with hinges of this residential leaf thickness. That actually is not given in the paperwork at all. I'm going to say that this is about 96 thousandths of an inch thick. It's handy to know the leaf thickness so that you can be sure that you're getting the right hinge. This hinge is 1.04, so 1.04 thick. That's a little bit unusual, but it's 96, 97, 98 thousandths is typical, so in that realm it's incredibly accurate. The maximum door size and number of spring hinges required are based on limits set forth in Code 80 of the National Fire Protection Agency. For maximum versatility, use all spring hinges. Always turn the Allen wrench to the left clockwise, regardless of the hand of the door, left or right hand applications, provided that's pointed towards the top. Mount hinge adjustment end up as shown. Place door in the closed position, and we've gone over the balance of the tension setting instructions. Don't exceed 3 holes. If you hear any creaking in that spring, that's definitely too much. Spring hinges can make that creaking sound over time, and it has been suggested that you can insert some lubricant down in here and get that material to discontinue making that sound. But that's in a event that you know that you do not have too much tension set. If it's doing it immediately, there's too much tension set. So, in general, you're looking at a spring hinge. If your door is up to about 70 pounds, 2 spring hinges ought to work. If your door is over 80 or so, 3 spring hinges. Up to 3 foot by 7 foot doors only. The installation instructions recommends for maximum versatility all spring hinges. Now what that means is this. When you have more spring hinges rather than less on a given door, you're able to store a lot more energy in those spring hinges. Here's what I mean. When that door gets out to 90 degrees, those spring hinges, when you let the door go, have to not only get the door moving from a dead stop, overcome the weight of the door, overcome all the air pressure that it encounters, overcome the resistance or the friction of the latch bolt hitting the strike plate to get the door to a latched position. If you have a fire rated door, that means 2 requirements are on you to comply with. The door must be self-closing and it must be self-latching. When you have less spring hinges installed on a door rather than more, what you end up finding is that you have to turn the tension up so high that you risk damaging or basically destroying the hinge. Or you set it up so high just to get the door moving quick enough so that inertia alone gets it to the closed position, and that's not safe nor reliable. Certainly doesn't allow predictable sort of operation, and would not allow any sort of adjustment to the settings on the spring hinge, meaning the settings that you might have in the middle of winter will be different than the summer, because there will be different air pressure, there will be different conditions in a given situation. This could be the front door of a 3-flat. Well, in the summertime, the back window might be opened of a unit, and that door is not going to require as much tension set on the spring hinges at that period. The point of the matter is, when you have more spring hinges, you have more control over how much energy is being released onto the closing action of the door, and you can tailor that to account for the exact conditions at that moment. I liken it to a tugboat. They don't go very fast, but they can pull a lot of weight. And that's what having more spring hinges does for you on an installation than less. I'm not a fan of spring hinges whatsoever to close a door. I'm just not. I think that overhead surface or concealed hydraulic door closers or floor closers are certainly overwhelmingly preferred because they allow you to control the door, control the sweep, control the latch sort of portion. But there are instances when that is completely impossible to accomplish. You will have times when you cannot install a surface closer, and quite frankly a spring hinge is the only thing that's really the way to close the door. You might have a residential application, you've got a spare bedroom that in the winter you like to simply leave closed, or you might want the cat to stay out of the room. You can install a couple spring hinges and keep the door closed. Obviously a door closer is not appropriate for that sort of installation. There is, beyond that, my only statement about spring hinges is, you certainly won't regret having more than less, and you can always add one more in the future, should you end up needing to. Very nice, attractive sort of hinge. UL listed. This is from C.R. Lawrence, whose name is synonymous with many things hardware related, but especially shower door hardware, whether it be pivots, hinges, gaskets, glass clamps, anything glass shower enclosure related is their strong suit of what they provide. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up their full line catalog, but the catalog is so large that it's broken up into sections, and all of those individual sections are on that page. If you have any questions on the C.R. Lawrence S444 4x4 heavy duty spring hinge with 1/4-inch radius corners in a US 4 finish or dull brass, or any other C.R. Lawrence product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.